Helps if I actually turn my own microphone on, right? Welcome to Parenting Unscripted. I am your host, Katie Collett. Thank you so much for joining us today. And a big thank you to Norfolk Public Schools for sponsoring this episode. I have really been looking forward to this episode because we have Ms. Charlotte Moore on with us today. Charlotte is the founder of myactivechild.com, which is such an amazing resource for families in Hampton Roads. Charlotte, welcome.
Thank you, Katie. I'm so glad to be here.
I was so pumped when you said yes to this because I reached out. Turns out I reached out to you years ago, which, I remembered saying thank you so much for creating this site. And I am just so thrilled that we get to explain to everybody what My Active Child actually is. So why don't we do that right off the bat? So for those families who have not heard about myactivechild.com, why don't you share a little bit about what that is?
Absolutely. I want to make it easier for other families.
Yeah.
That was the whole premise. As a mom with young kids, when we first moved to Hampton Roads years and years ago, I was looking for things to do with my little kids, and it was amazing because this area has so much to offer. There's so many events happening all of the time, and I was looking for them, and it took a lot of time and a lot of energy to look at all the different museum web pages and city calendars and pull together, an idea of what I wanted to do and what we could do to get out of the house and have some fun. And so I decided that there had to be an easier way to do it. It wasn't necessarily easier for me, but it was exactly what I was hoping, is that, it would be something that other families could rely on and use to spend less time planning their family time and more time actually with their family.
Absolutely. So you made it a little harder on yourself, but my goodness, you made it so much easier for everybody else.
Well, and it all works out because I get to use the same calendar that you do when you're planning your weekends.
Absolutely. And what I love about it, besides the fact that it's really just a one-stop shop for all of the events and pretty much all happenings for families around Hampton Roads, is you can actually sign up for emails from the site. So you get weekly emails of some of the great things that are happening that week and even that month, right?
Yep. You can sign up. There's a daily email that just sends out the content Monday through Friday that we share on the website. And there's also a weekly email if daily emails are too much. It's just some of the stuff is time sensitive. So usually I would recommend the daily. But yeah, absolutely. And it's just another way to keep in the loop of all the things happening.
Yeah. When exactly did you create this?
I was actually thinking about that last night. It was, I first sort of reached the level of frustration where I started thinking about it when I was here when we were stationed here for the first time. My husband's active duty, and I had a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old. And I was just so frustrated with having to, when you've got one little kid, you don't have time. And when you have 2 little kids, you have double no time. And so I was trying to find things to do with them. And so that was back in, I believe, 2010. And I think the website itself in its first rendition was launched in 2011.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What made you, and I mean, you kind of answered this, but what made you decide that, I need this, other families have to need this as well?
Absolutely. My background is in social work. And so I worked as a social worker before my kids were born. And one of my favorite things was connecting people with resources. It's always been something that I automatically did. And so this was just a more planned way of doing it that involves spreadsheets and calendars and all of those things. But what I've always tried to focus on is sharing things that I, as a parent, would either want to know or would want someone to share with me. And I think, that is always sort of underlying, like, would I want to know this? Would this benefit another family to know this? And how can we get that message to them?
So walk us through your parenting journey. I know that you've said that you had, years ago, you had 2 young children, you're a military family. It's a lot when you're moving from place to place and then trying to get settled and find fun things to do. So walk us through what that was like for you. And, I know you've been stationed in several places.
Yeah. Right. And I knew when I set up my active child that we would likely get stationed somewhere else. I didn't expect it to happen quite as quickly as it did.
Oh, it was fast?
It was quick. Yeah. We were, and we were following our orders here. We were in DC, so we were at least in the same time zone. But then we were not. We were out west. And so it's been interesting. Every time that we move, I find myself looking for a website like My Active Child that has, that kind of concentrated focus on what's available for families. And sometimes I find really great resources and sometimes not so much, but it just reinforced what I started here and how important it was, especially with so much active duty moving in and out of the area. There's always new families here. There's always people that don't know about the resources or the events that happen every year and are getting all of this information for the first time.
And there is we say all the time here that if you are bored in this area, it's your own fault because there's so much going on, right?
There is. There's so much going on. And I'm trying to think of all of the questions that I answer on social media where people say, where can I find this or where can I find that? And I always try and drop a link whenever I see those questions because there are a lot of people that are brand new to the area and just aren't or have never lived here as parents before, maybe, that aren't aware of all the things that go on and that, there's something for every interest, every level of activity, everything.
Yep. And admittedly, I've been a journalist here I've been a reporter, an anchor here for more than 18 years. And until I became a parent, I didn't realize all of the events we really had because I would be focused on more of like the wine festivals or beer festivals or, just like fun, more adult festivals. And then all of a sudden, when I had my son, my husband and I were like, wait a minute, we need to do something other than like trying wines and beers. And what can we do that's fun for him? So My Active Child has been an absolute godsend for my family. We're going to talk a lot more about it on the other side of the break with Charlotte Moore because there's so much about this website that I'm so excited for all of you to hear. And we will be right back on Parenting Unscripted in just one moment. Be sure to stay with us.
Whether you're already working in education or aspiring to, then say yes to NPS. Norfolk Public Schools are currently hiring in the following positions. NPS offers the highest salaries and sign-on bonuses in Hampton Roads, plus a work lifestyle you'll love. Say yes to NPS.
Welcome back to Parenting Unscripted. I am your host, Katie Collett, joined by the wonderful Charlotte Moore, founder of myactivechild.com. So before we got to this section previously in the break, we were talking about, how great it is for everyone in the area to have this resource where there is everything from, different events to summer camps, free events, things that'll cost you, but it's really all just a one-stop shop. So when you have so many events featured on My Active Child, how do you find what you need to feature or what needs to be there, especially in an area with so much going on?
Exactly. It's a huge task.
Yeah.
So what I usually do is I'll go through my own calendar and make sure that things like I also have a separate calendar that I keep for things that are regularly scheduled annual events, things like that I always try and highlight. But most of the time when I'm highlighting events, I am highlighting things that are free, that are there are certain types of events that are always going to be big hits. You throw mermaids and pirates into anything, and you have people showing up and wanting to be a part of that. So things that I know that families will want to know about, and things that are free those are the two things that I really focus the most on when featuring specific events.
Free is our favorite price.
Yes.
So I know we had said that we were going to talk about this a little later, but let's just jump right into it now.
Sure.
With the local businesses in the area and the places that are having events. The big thing that you said is you want this to be free for everyone, so it's truly helpful to everyone of every different ilk and entity in the area. So how do the businesses get involved? Because it's not just you searching a calendar to be like, okay, this event. I mean, that's
we have a lot
knowledge.
of businesses that input all of their own events. And, I have a great team that helps me support the calendar and get everything up there. But there are also forms available on the calendar to add your event. There's never a cost to have an event listed on the calendar. There's never a cost to be a business listing that fits into one of our categories that's available on the website. All the businesses that we know about are already listed. So you can claim a listing if your business is already listed so that you have the ability to edit and update and make sure that you're highlighting the things that you want to highlight in your listing. And there's also ways to have a login to the calendar if you're regularly submitting events where you can get back into the events that you've added, and you can edit those if you are the one who submitted them.
What a gift for those organizations, though, to be able to do that for free and just kind of have control. Like, if they change something for the event or they make an adjustment to something, they're able to just go straight in and, get the information out that they need. And because, other than you possibly being a wizard and straight from Hogwarts, I was like, how does she know all of this information?
Well, and the one thing that I always make sure is that every event and every listing that we have on our website has the link to where the original information was posted, so that we are not the last possible source of information, because mistakes get made, things get changed, cancellations, rain days, all of those things. There will always be a link in every event and in every post and even in every business listing as to where we got the information so that you can get the latest information, cross-check,
right?
Before you head out the door. I would never want to be your last stop before making your plans for the weekend. We're just trying to point you all in the right direction.
Oh man, you're talking to a journalist about checking your sources.
Yes.
Man, that touches my heart. Well done, Charlotte. I love that so much. I have to say that, when I first had my son, my friend Reba, who was a director here at Wavy for a very long time and was a mom before me. So I was mom in training and she was my training wheels. She immediately told me about my active child and that I needed to jump on this and sign up for the emails. And it really did change my life in that I was able to find so much information about events in the area. But the two things that really drew me in was the fact that so many of the events are free. Yeah. And then there was also information about summer camps, which was huge when my son started school, really. So do you think that people in this area realize how many events are actually free?
I don't know. I would hope so, because I certainly try and put them all out there for you.
I know. I did not realize until your site.
So many are free, and they're just, in so many different areas of activity and interests, and all the library program. There's so many events that are museum focused that are free, and this time of year, trunk or treats and fall festivals, and all of the different things leading into the holidays with Santa and all of that. There's so many free events. There's a lot of events that are paid and that have extra incentives and all of the things, which are also wonderful to be able to highlight. But you're right. The number of free events in our area and free activities just generally every day happening, it's a lot. It's amazing.
And it's, myactivechild.com. And there are it's not just the 7 cities though. Like you have stuff from surrounding cities as well, that some of them might argue that they're not in Hampton Roads, but we still bring them in and say, no, I think you're a part.
Maybe you count.
But you count, you matter. So do you know how many, and I'm putting you on the spot here, but do you know off the top of your head how many cities and counties that you have involved now?
We focus on putting out information for the 7 cities. So Chesapeake, Hampton, Newport News, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Suffolk, Virginia Beach, Yorktown's in there as well.
Yeah, right? Yes.
And we also have a lot of listings, both on the calendar and in the business listings for other areas around.
But that are very nearby.
That are very nearby. Generally, we don't necessarily add a lot of those, but if they're submitted, course.
Right. Yeah. Because it's still
a lot of areas outside, because we do have families checking in from all of those different places and looking for different things. And people are very willing to make a day trip to, the other side of Hampton Roads. This area is there's so much happening and it's so drivable and accessible.
Yes. I love to see when people dare to cross a tunnel. And
Or a bridge.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes,
You know that
absolutely.
you have a good event to go to if you are crossing a tunnel or a bridge.
Yes.
It's absolutely amazing. We're going to talk more about My Active Child with its founder, Charlotte Moore, on the other side of this break. We're also going to focus a little bit on summer camps and a little bit more about what we love about the site. So we will be right back. Be sure to stay with us. Welcome back to Parenting Unscripted. We are picking up our conversation with Charlotte Moore, founder of myactivechild.com. And we're going to focus on summer camps because one of the things that I really needed help with when I had a son and he got a bit older and was no longer in daycare all day was the fact that we had to navigate summer camps. And I did not realize how early one has to plan for summer when it comes to these camps. So it's really overwhelming. But again, your site helped me figure out some of the best camps around that would work. How do you get everything together and, to make sure that these camps are what the families need and want?
Absolutely. Well, again, I mean, if you are a program and you offer a summer camp, then you should be in our listings, and probably are.
Yeah.
And I really just have always wanted to make sure that families know all the options that are available. Our, promoted summer camps are always a huge draw through, as towards the beginning of the year. I usually start talking about summer camps and highlighting summer camps, end of February, beginning of March. Some summer camps open their registration, in December for the,
we
for
found
the
that
following
out.
year.
We
Yeah.
found that out the hard way.
Exactly. So I really am turning to, or trying to get that summer camp listing to be more of a all the time thing because people are always looking. Yeah. They're always looking for summer camps. They're always, wanting to start making those plans as early as possible, especially if you have that childcare component.
Right.
Some people are able to, wait till the last minute and, I'm that mom. I'm absolutely that mom. Focus more on what will fit, this week or that week. But if you really have childcare needs that are tied specifically to work, you need to look early.
Oh, very much so. And the thing too is, you talk about there's the childcare element where you really you need something for your child because you're going to be working.
Yeah.
But you also, if you're able, you want it to be something that's going to be something that they're interested in or to help grow their interests. And I really think that summer camp is really important if you can swing it to get the kids in there. So being able to see the listing of things. Are there any summer camps off the top of your head that you think of that are kind of like old staples here or some newer things? And you don't even have to list the camp, but I guess the type of camp.
Oh, absolutely. Now, some of the museums have just regular camps that every year are a huge hit. We've got local farms and different activities that host camp every year that just the kids have a blast. So I'm always very happy to be able to highlight those camps, and our featured listings in the summer camp category are always, some of my favorites.
Yeah, there are a lot of really great summer camps on there for sure.
Yeah.
One of the things that I also really enjoy about My Active Child is as our kids grow, the site seems to kind of grow with them. So what's the age range really that you're focused on when it comes to events and camps for families?
I'm really glad you asked that. A lot of people assume that My Active Child is, very, 0 to 5 or 0 to 9 or and, I'm sure it has been at a certain time because that's where my children were. But as my kids have gotten older, I've really wanted to make sure that we cover everything from 0 to 18.
Yeah.
When we moved back to this area, I had teenagers. It's completely different to to have those age group, those different activities and interests, and always make sure that those are on our calendar. And I try and do the breakout lists on the blog posts as well, just to make it a little bit easier if people are looking for a specific topic or a type of activity.
And it's called My Active Child, but really it benefits the whole entire family. Why is that something that is so important for you?
there are so many different types of families and different types of kids and different types of interests. And I really wanted to make sure that my active child was something that all families could benefit from. I wanted to make sure that there was never, that while I am running this, there will never be a subscription or anything like that. I want it to be accessible to families that have the means to do all of the activities and families that are really looking for ways to get out of the house on a really strict budget and have those family experiences and make those memories.
I think getting out of the house makes everybody better.
Oh my goodness.
It just
Yes,
feels better.
It does. It does.
And
And
then
it's easy to sit at home.
It is easy to sit at home, but then people tend to get cranky and, it's so great. I always say, to get the kids out of the house and run them around and make them tired.
Yeah.
Get them tired.
Oh, yes. You are speaking my language.
Get them so tired. They just want to go to bed. And it's,
Yes.
for parents, that's kind of what we do. You're just trying to sort of fill in the gaps between naps and bed, but you want it to be educational and fun and enjoyable. So, it's great to see
Absolutely.
what's really out there for everyone. Do you have any new elements that you're working on right now that you're thinking of adding to the site?
I am trying to make it a little bit more user friendly as far as just submitting events and updating your businesses. So been working on that for a while, and I've got some additional things hopefully coming up that'll just make it, easy 1, 2, 3 clicks to, submit events and flyers and things like that. So working on that right now, just trying to make it a little bit simpler for all processes.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you received any feedback when people find out what you do and what you've created? What kind of feedback have you gotten from families?
It's usually, I use that all the time, or I appreciate that. I've had people, reach out and email me just to say thank you for making a resource that they were able to rely on. I had one grandma who was traveling regularly from the Northeast to spend time with her granddaughter, and she and her granddaughter were using the site to plan all of her trips and what they were going to do together during the trip. So yeah, I love hearing that. I love when someone says someone behind them in the grocery line, let them know about the website, a friend of a friend, or somebody shared one of our, roundup posts of all of the seasonal events and different ways to get involved. Yeah. It's great. I appreciate that so much.
And that's parents and grandparents and caregivers helping each other out, because I'll tell you what, I'm not kidding when I say this is one of the best resources around for families. So Charlotte Moore, thank you for taking the time to join us today. I absolutely love and sincerely appreciate what you do with my active child. So again,
Thank you so much for having me, Katie. I appreciate it.
Of course. And thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of Parenting Unscripted. Remember, you can catch new episodes of Parenting Unscripted on Wavy Plus every Tuesday at 9 o'clock in the morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. Be good.